In this video, we'll be learning about diodes, bridge rectifiers, and voltage regulators, which will enable our generator to charge phones and tablets, as well as powering direct current devices like LED lights.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the third video in my generator series. We started by exploring how magnets and the electromotive force create electricity, and then 3D printed a generator that could power a small light globe. And it worked well until it exploded when two of the magnets ejected from the rotor at around 4,500 RPM. Now, a smarter man might have redesigned this rotor to eliminate that risk, but I just kinda glued them back in. Then there was the stator that experienced an unplanned disassembly, but I took the opportunity to tweak the design a little and print off a new one. I now also have a front bearing block to keep the axle and rotor from wobbling. I also made a new coil winding jig so I can fit more copper into the stator. In this case, I'm using 48 loops of copper wire. So that's where we're up to. Now let's run the generator with the light globe and oscilloscope attached to see exactly what kind of power we're producing.
You can see from this snapshot that we're producing alternating current at 321 cycles per second, with a peak-to-peak voltage of 48 volts and an RMS voltage of 14.4 volts. I measured the current at 980 milliamps, which means we're producing 14 watts of power.
Now 14 watts is more than enough power to run some LED lights or charge one of these nightmare bricks. But what these devices can't accept is alternating current. They require direct current that flows in only one direction. Now we can achieve that with something called a diode.
A diode can be thought of like a one-way valve. The current flows freely in one direction, but is stopped when it tries to come back the other way. So putting one of these into the generator circuit should make it a direct current output, right? Let's find out.
We now have our diode added here in series, which means the electricity can only flow in one direction.
Here we can see that the diode is blocking the negative voltage portion of each wave. So yes, we have achieved direct current, but we've also lost 50% of the available power. This configuration is known as a half-wave rectifier, so maybe we need a full-wave rectifier, also called a bridge rectifier. This clever configuration uses 4 diodes to ensure that during both the positive and negative periods of the wave, current will flow to the DC positive output and from the DC negative output. Let's try one in our generator. That's a lot better. Now we're getting all of the power out as direct current. However, 642 times per second, the voltage is still dipping down to 0. If we were to try and power any device with this, that device would turn on and off 642 times per second as well. That's why we need to introduce something called a capacitor. A capacitor is a storage device that absorbs the power from the rising edge of each peak and gives it back on the trailing edge. With the right-sized capacitor, we can smooth our output power until our waveform becomes almost a straight line. Let's give it a try. You can see here that we have a very smooth output with our capacitor connected. Our waveform shows a maximum of 16.4 volts and a minimum of 15.2 volts. That's a maximum fluctuation of just 1.2 volts, which is pretty good. You might notice that the points where the voltage is higher correspond with the peaks of our previous waveform. We now have a usable direct current output, but the voltage we produce still varies with the speed of the generator. In order to maintain a constant output voltage for sensitive electronics, we need a voltage regulator. This is a component which will maintain a fixed output voltage from a wide range of input voltages. Here I'm using a 5V 3A regulator, which I've connected to an old USB-C cable, And then I think we should be able to charge a phone with some human power. Let's give it a try. Well, it looks to me like that's working. Let's do it for 10 minutes to see how much charge we can gain. So in 10 minutes we went from 51% state of charge to 43%. I think the app I installed for the fancy charging animation was actually using the power faster than we could charge it. So I'm going to switch to a newer phone and just use the battery monitor in system settings. Here we go again. There we go, we gained 2% state of charge in 5 minutes of running the generator. That means we could fully charge a phone from empty in about 4 hours. Despite what anybody says, I don't think I could crank it for quite that long. But next I want to try powering my Christmas lights that I struggled to illuminate with my first iteration of this generator. I think it might just work a bit better this time.
Now originally these Christmas lights were powered by this solar battery bank thing, which would charge all day in the sun and then turn the lights on at dusk. Now I measured its output at 2.6 volts, so I've installed a new voltage regulator here, also at 2.6 volts, on the output of our generator. Now this generator's been working a lot better than version 1, so I think this will be a walk in the park, but let's find out. Too easy! Too easy. I think this thing could power 100 times as many lights without any issues. And the 16:1 gearbox feels fantastic. So maybe let me know in the comments if you can think of what you might like to see next. Perhaps 3-phase windings might be interesting. And subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.